Ravi Shankar is Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer at Denodo, a leader in data and AI with a logical approach to data management. With that, Ravi, we're thrilled to have you at the event today and looking forward to your presentation.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. I'm really excited about presenting this topic. It is about AI agents, and specifically, I'm going to be talking about the need for having trust in the AI agents. And I will talk about how to get there with the data platform. And I will talk about the requirements that they need live data, context, and guardrails for it. So let's get this started. We all know the agentic AI is on the rise. So if you take a look at some of the predictions out there, you will see Gartner kind of claiming this is going to be somewhere in the 450 billion mark by the next 10 years, 9 to 10 years. And that is going to be up from like a 2% of the total enterprise software to about 30% of the entire enterprise software. So it is going to be really big. And also there are some other predictions in terms of the number of agents that are going to be available that range all the way from billions to trillions of agents. So you can assume there are going to be multiple agents per person on this earth. So these are the news that actually come about just about like yesterday in terms of all the articles on the agentic AI side. As you know, NVIDIA had its flagship conference last week, the GTC conference, in which they embraced OpenClaw, which is an open source AI agentic platform. And with that, a lot of people were building claws much more faster and enthusiastically. So that is something that has actually come about. So here you see that the next wave is going to be a lot of people with working alongside with agents. And here you see Andrei Karpathy. So he is one of the co-founders of the OpenAI, the makers of the ChatGPT. And he claims that, it's been a long time since he wrote code because all of his agents are basically writing the code for him. And Forbes predicts like 10% of the enterprise functions will use AI agents, according to McKinsey. And even if you take McKinsey, they are actually talking about having 25,000 agents within their organizations today, working alongside their 40,000 employees. So eventually they're going to be getting to 1-to-1 ratio pretty soon. So definitely this market is going to be blowing up. This technology is going to be on the rise, which is really exciting. That is going to provide an immense amount of extra hand in terms of getting the task done autonomously, which we can all use. But not everything is so great. So there are some predictions that actually talk about news in terms of like what are the challenges with the agentic AI right now. So here on the top right, you see an AI agent destroyed this coder's entire database. He's not the only one with a horror story. And Meta recently was in the news with the rogue AI agents, so which was pretty big. And also the OpenClaw that I just talked about at embraced by NVIDIA. So that one had produced a piece that was rejected by a Python developer. And then you see like how the big four firms in the bottom left, like KPMG and so on, are using or be getting careful with AI, their AI agents not getting rogue. And there are some articles that have already started being published, like in ZDNet, that talk about how to build an AI agent for your business without creating trust issues. So obviously, the technology is promising, but it is not without problems. So it is very important that we get the agents working for us. Somewhere I read somebody say that the AI agents are like toddlers. So you need to be able to watching out for them all the time. Otherwise, they will quickly get into trouble and get you into trouble. So let's talk a little bit about AI agents in case you might have heard about it, but maybe not at the level of depth that it is needed to be articulated. So an AI agent is primarily a software piece that does three things. One, it perceives its environment. It is able to understand what is going on around it. It is able to reason in terms of understanding what it needs to do, and it takes actions to achieve specific goals. So this is very different than what you would be doing with a ChatGPT, for example, where you would enter a prompt and get the results. This is about giving a goal to the agent to go, for example, procure pens, for example, and it would go shop around and find the right price point and the quality and get it for you. So it can accomplish those things autonomously. Now, there are two types of these agents. One is autonomous and semi-autonomous. So the autonomous agents are the ones that can operate independently without any human intervention. So you set them, you wind them up, and they are going on by themselves. And they do all the decisions based on the data. So data is available for them to work on, and they would use that as the guiding North Star to be able to go about operating and producing the results. Now, there could be semi-autonomous agents as well, which require a human in the loop. Not everything can be completely trusted to the agents. There will be some in which you want the humans, especially in healthcare, where you do not want the the AI agent to be prescribing on behalf of the physician, where it can make a mistake. I recently heard about a physician talking about how when your systolic blood pressure is above 150, it's a 2-drug regimen given by AMA in the last couple of years. But when they asked ChatGPT, it recommended a 1-drug regimen, which is obviously 5 years old. So you need to be careful in such situations. Now, in terms of the total duration in which these autonomous agents can execute, they vary from a few minutes to a few hours. And actually, if you think about, well, that's not too long, it is actually too long in the measuring time. So the speed at which the computer runs is much more faster than a human brain. So they can process things very, very fast. And so if something can run autonomously for a few minutes, it's a big achievement. And compounding that all the way to few hours is even a greater achievement. And they are building agents that can actually run for weeks. So that way you don't have to stop and check with them. They can be always on, and they can be doing the tasks for you. Here's the challenge, right? The longer the AI agents run autonomously, the higher the chances of them to hallucinate or go rogue. So it is very important that these ones are stress tested and make sure that they can run for longer periods of time, and there should be check-ins and so on in order to make sure that they are acting in a predictable way that you want them to. So it happens to be that trust is the most important attribute for AI agents. So if you can't trust it, then definitely you're going to have problems with it. So it is just like when you bring on board a new employee, right? So it doesn't matter how many years of experience they have, they definitely are coming into your organization for the first time. You don't know how well they do, how they do. So you want to onboard them, you want to give them some tasks, check in with them. And it takes a while for them to build your trust in terms of that they can execute these things autonomously without your help or your oversight. So that way they are being more productive. So trust is the main attribute that is needed for AI agents. So let's talk about how we can provide the trust or enable trust for the AI agents. There are 3 principles that I will talk about here. The first one is the AI agents need live situational awareness. So they need to be looking at the things that are happening as they are happening. So it cannot be something that is in retrospect. So it has to be something that is happening right now. They need that live awareness. The second one is that they need the most relevant information to make the best decisions. So they are going to be coming in all different forms. You would have an HR agent, you would have a or HR AI agent, you would have a procurement AI agent. So they are going to be doing tasks to do many different things. And they understand different languages, just like how we speak English here. If you go to Spain, they speak Spanish. Like that, way they can communicate will be varied across these different functions. So you need to feed them with the relevant information that they can take and they can use and make the right decisions and actions. And the last one is they need to be guarded. They need to have some kind of a governance. There needs to be some kind of guardrails within which they are acting. Of course, you will have some SLAs in terms of that they need to be achieving or accomplishing the goal within certain amount of time. But at the same time, you want to make sure that they are not going off rails into something that is unpredictable and something that has to be corrected later on. So it could be a train wreck, and it could take a lot of work to kind of unwind it if something goes really wrong, especially in some of the sensitive areas like compliance or healthcare or even industries which is highly regulated. So let's talk about now the requirements in order to feed the trust to the AI agents. The first thing is they need real-time data. So remember, we talked about this live situational awareness that they need to have. And for that, they need the real-time data. So this is, as the business operates, there are systems that are recording those transactions live. For example, you go to a superstore, you pick up a product, and then you go to the checkout, and then you check it out. The systems are being updated. The point of sale systems that is recording the transaction. There is an inventory system that is deducting that the item being procured, so on. Those things are operating in real time. So the AI agent needs to be able to have access to the data in real time. It cannot be a data that is copied to another store for them to be working on. Now, we usually take the data from the operational systems, copy them into like an analytical systems to do some analysis, decisions, and so on. But in this case, the AI agents need real-time data as the business happens. The second one is the context in which they need to understand. Many of the systems that you see, mainly like these point of sale systems, the inventory systems, all of them are running on a database underlying. It's a real-time database. And usually that contains, if we take a relational database like rows and columns and tables, which are very hard-coded technical terms, but they talk in terms of business language. The customers, the products, the procurement, the contracts, the sale price, and so on. So these need to be translated in business terms, so that way the AI agents are able to comprehend and provide the answers back to us in real time. Just that alone is not enough. They need to have the complete history and lineage. So when they are getting the data, they need to know that the data, where is it coming from? How long has it been there? Who has accessed it? So they need to understand how has it been transformed. So they need to know all these history behind it in order to make the right judgment for them to take an action. And again, these need to be communicated in the language that the AI agent can understand. I talked about that before. And the last one is the guardrail. So there needs to be some kind of a governance framework. It needs to operate with security. Just because the agent wants as much data as it needs in order to be able to perform its action. But what do you know it would actually do with the data? So you need to be able to provide, especially like if it's in healthcare, like a PII kind of data, you need to be able to or comply with like the HIPAA rules. Why would that be any different for an AI agent than a human person, right? So there are things that will come into place that you will need to be able to make sure they operate within those boundaries and security. And if there are questions, the AI agents should be coming back to the humans for validation or approvals. So that way they are operating within the boundaries, and they should not be making up anything in the absence of such data not being available, which I said could be a train wreck because it is very different than a Gen AI. So the basis for this is going to be a platform that you will need that will provide all these three: real-time data, context, and also the guardrails or the governance. So we call that as the logical data management platform, as opposed to a physical data management platform, which physically stores the data. A logical data management reaches out to the sources that accumulate the data that I talked about, the point of sale systems, the inventory systems, and so on, in real time, and it brings the data back together. It actually, you see the word zero copy, so it doesn't copy the data in anywhere. So it is accessing the data in real time. And it provides the semantics. So semantics is the meaning of the data, and that is what is required to provide the context. And it provides the unified semantics. And the last one you see here, the data governance and security, it provides the rules within which this data can be accessed, needs to be accessed, and needs to be acted upon, and all within the constraints of the cost and performance. Now, that is for the data teams that are setting up the platform. Now, for the business teams, they would be using a conversational tool like ChatGPT or anything like that can actually ask the question and get the data and the results back to them. So they would be using natural language to interact, and many of us actually do that. Now, with the AI agents, it is going to be an orchestration in which they will be the AI teams will be building these agents, and the agents would need this real-time data to be able to act upon. And at all times, the humans and the AI agents are not working independently in the sense that they need to collaborate. So the humans basically are setting the goals for the AI agents for them to go do the actions and come back and deliver the results back to the humans so that the humans can check that and make sure it is optimal or what they're kind of now looking for. So at the end of the day, you need a platform in specifically like a logical data management platform that will generate the trust and for the agents through the real-time data, the context, and the guardrails and the governance. So this is my closing thought for you. So the AI agents are very powerful. They can really boost your business, but without trust, they can actually damage it much more. So hopefully that was useful to you. And I'm looking forward to answering any questions you have.
Coming up at the top of the hour, we will be answering questions in the live Q&A panel. So for everyone on the call, type your questions into the Q&A box that you see right in front of you on the screen, and we'll do our best to get to as many of those questions for Ravi during the live Q&A session.